I have long accused the media of translating for Joe Biden, and conservative media does this too. I think it's because people don't know how to write a quote that includes a bunch of ellipses and ums and uhs and stuttering and stammering and wrong words. So they just say, here's what he meant, I guess. And for example, Joe Biden could say something like, we got the Navy in the desert, troops in the desert, troops in Afghanistan, and, got to get them out. And instead of just writing all of that because it's incoherent and insane, they'll change it and they'll just quote, Biden said, we've got troops in the desert of Afghanistan. We've got to get them out. Or they'll say something like Joe Biden expressed his desire to pull our troops out of the Middle East. Because if you actually show the quote, you'll be like, I don't know what he meant. Like when he was speaking at the G7 or whatever, and he kept saying Libya instead of Syria. Well, not only have people been translating for him, but the media is trash. And now ABC is accused of misleading edit in Biden interview quote on Afghanistan. President was asked if he believed the Taliban had changed. Now, what's really funny about this story is that the left is saying ABC edited Joe Biden's statements to make him look bad. I shouldn't say the left, like the Democrats. It made him look bad. Tucker Carlson is saying they edited out the parts that made him incoherent and bumbling. I think Tucker is probably more. Actually, I think they both may be right. But Tucker's right because that's why I opened with that point about the media translating for Joe Biden. Biden, my friends, is incoherent and hard to follow often. Now, when he was giving his speech about Afghanistan, reading the teleprompter, I suppose he was able to pull that one off. But even with a teleprompter, he's often confused and stuttering and stammering. So this is interesting, actually, because we do have, I believe we have the Daily Wire actually showing everything that was removed from the interview. And that's actually kind of crazy. Let's be real. They didn't just remove some words. When I heard that ABC had edited what Joe Biden said to the American people, first I was like, well, I'm not surprised. It's horrifyingly unethical. Let his words stand for the American people. But I assumed they were editing down his answers. Often you'll see in an interview, someone will say something like, I believe we need to raise taxes on the rich because the rich don't pay their fair share. And they'll cut out the end part because it's like, for time, he already gave his answer. We don't need that additional opinion or something like that. I'm opposed to that. But that's typically what they do, something like that. And I'll be like, okay, whatever, right? We know what they do and why they do it. In this instance, they actually pulled words out from the middle of his statements, absolutely changing the context. Well, let's read first from The Independent, a more left-leaning outlet, as to what they're saying. ABC accused of misleading edit in Biden interview quote on Afghanistan. ABC has been accused of misleadingly editing the response of Joe Biden. He gave to a question about whether or not the Taliban have changed. In an interview with the channel's George Stephanopoulos, Mr. Biden was asked about the Taliban's future strategy for governing Afghanistan. Stephanopoulos asked, what happens now in Afghanistan? Do you believe the Taliban have changed? No, responded the president. Let me put it this way. I think they're going through sort of an existential crisis about do they want to be recognized by the international community as being a legitimate government? I'm not sure they do. However, in a post on Twitter, the news channel published an edited version of the exchange, labeling it as an exclusive. The edited version removed both no and I'm not sure they do from Mr. Biden's answer, which some observers said removed crucial context as to the meaning of the response. They are correct. That absolutely did. Joe Biden was saying they haven't changed. They are going through an existential crisis. I'm not sure they actually care. So he gave an elaborate response. What did ABC do? Remove those negative statements. So he just said, do you think they've changed? I think they're going through an existential crisis about whether or not they want to be recognized by the international community. That is a yes. Fake news, man. You know what's funny is all these young people who don't understand the media just lies are probably now shocked. Not like that. I don't understand why these young people care about Biden anyway. Enjoy waving your little flag for your tribe, weirdos. But now you get to see how the media is manipulating and lying about you. Not like I think these young people actually care or pay attention. But this is reality. ABC News' tweet sparked a debate on Twitter over whether or not the edit of Mr. Biden's remarks had misled the public. It did. Some Twitter commentators accused ABC News and the wider media of being disingenuous. They are. One user said the edit changes the precise meaning and context of the rest of his answer. Another said the problem with the current media is media in one tweet. There's no appetite for honesty and substance. It's all click-based. Others were less convinced they hadn't made a significant change. One user said, I'm not sure that the no makes much of a difference here. It did. And the I'm not sure they do definitely does. He's outright saying they don't want to change, right? He's like, they haven't changed. They may be contemplating something, but I don't think they really want to change. You get rid of those last parts, and Biden's basically saying they may want to change. It's very, very different. And conservatives were roasting Joe Biden over this because it made it seem like he was trying to placate the Taliban or trying to apologize for them. He said, no. Making me defend Joe Biden? Come on. I don't want to do that. But hey, same thing happens with Donald Trump. I'm like, stop making me defend the guy. Tell the truth. I can be honest about my criticisms. We got the Daily Wire here. And I will also note the Daily Wire now with that beautiful green checkmark, NewsGuard certified. That's right. For a while, they were called fake news by NewsGuard, but NewsGuard says the Daily Wire's okay now. All right. From the Daily Wire, ABC News appears to have not aired 900 plus words from Biden during interview on Good Morning America. Here they are. Now, this is interesting. They say the interviews come as the administration faces an absolute debacle in Afghanistan that was precipitated by Biden's chaotic pullout of the nation. Biden has avoided answering questions from reporters during two brief sets of remarks that he gave to the media this week, and he has spent a significant portion of time during the crisis on vacation in Delaware, where his administration refuses to disclose who he meets with. Now look, I contemplated opening with that story because I think Joe Biden is ill. I do. He keeps flying back to Delaware. He's flying back again today. He's not revealing who he's meeting with. Doesn't sound good for someone, a man of his age. Where is the rest of the administration? I don't know, but just speculation. And maybe we'll do a bigger segment on that later. They say a review comparing the transcript released by ABC News to video footage aired on television on Good Morning America and on the YouTube. Okay, we get it. A little over 900 words on a variety of topics related to Afghanistan were not aired. Some of the remarks that were not aired are inconsequential to the interview, like when Biden thanked Stephanopoulos for the interview. ABC News could have withheld parts of the footage due to time constraints. However, many of the instances in which Biden's remarks were not aired appeared to be negative moments where he struggled. Interesting. The left tried making it seem like the media was making him look bad, but it may be that they're making him look good. The following are the most significant parts of the interview that do not appear to have aired. A full transcript and both video clips published on Good Morning America YouTube channel are featured toward the bottom of the report, with words in bold font not being included by the network. Stephanopoulos says, let's get right to it. Edited out. Back in July, you said a Taliban takeover was highly unlikely. Was the intelligence wrong or did you downplay it? Biden said, I think there was no consensus. If you go back and look at the intelligence reports, they said that it's more likely to be sometime by the end of the year. The idea that the and then it goes further on, even as late as August, I think you're going to see the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and others speaking about this later today. Okay, I understand why they edited, why they removed that. What are they going to do? The idea that the and then it goes further on. What? I don't know what that means. I don't know what he's trying to say. Part 2. This whole section was removed. Stephanopoulos said, I think a lot of Americans and even a lot of veterans who served in Afghanistan agree with you on the big strategic picture. They believe we had to get out. But I wonder how you respond to an Army Special Forces officer, Javier McKay. He did 7 tours. He was shot twice. He agrees with you. He says, we have to cut our losses in Afghanistan, but he adds, I just wish we could have left with honor. Biden said, look, that's like asking my deceased son, Bo, who spent 6 months in Kosovo and a year in Iraq as a Navy captain and then major. I mean, as an Army major. And, he had regrets coming out of Afghanistan. Out of Iraq. Oh, jeez. He had regrets to how I'm trying to read the stuttering and the stammering, mind you. That's why I'm reading it like this. He had regret to how it's going, but the idea, what's the alternative? The alternative is, why are we staying in Afghanistan? Why are we there? Don't you think that the one who's most disappointed in us getting out, Russia and China, they'd love us to continue to have to. Okay, that's that first paragraph. He confused his son's rank, where his son was. It's no wonder they removed that. It's incoherent. Stephanopoulos asks, these are all included, so I'll skip over these. He says, so you don't think that this could have been handled, this exit could have been handled in a better way? No mistakes. Biden gives a response. Stephanopoulos says, so for you, that was always priced into the decision? Biden said, yes. Now, exactly what happened is not priced in. But I knew that they're going to have an enormous. Look, one of the things we don't know is what the Taliban would do in terms of trying to keep people from getting out. What they would do. Now, here's the removed section. What are they doing now? They're cooperating, letting American citizens get out, American personnel get out, embassies get out, etc. But we're having some more difficulty in having those who helped us when we were in there. Stephanopoulos says, and we don't really know what's happening outside of Kabul. Biden's response, pardon me. We don't really know what's happening outside of Kabul. Biden says, well, we do know generically and in some specificity what's happening outside of Kabul. We don't know it in great detail, but we do know. And guess what? The Taliban knows if they take on American citizens or American military, we will strike them back like hell. Won't have it. So Stephanopoulos then says, how about our Afghan allies? We have about 80,000 people. This whole section, this is crazy. I can't even read all of this. All of this stuff that's been removed. This is insane. Wow. My friends, I can't read through all of the stuff they pulled out. Look at this one. In one of the answers, they pulled random words out from the middle of the answer. Biden answered a question. He said, that tells me that and now here's the removed part. My dad used to have this expression, George. If everything's equally important to you, nothing's important to you. That was removed. But here's the best part. He says, we should be focusing on where the threat is the greatest. And the threat, they removed the words the threat. So he says, and the idea we can continue to spend $1 trillion. They edited that to remove his lapses. Now look at this. They cut a sentence in half. Here's what he said. The idea that we can spend $1 trillion and have tens of thousands of American forces in Afghanistan when we have North Africa and Western Africa, the idea we can do that and ignore those looming problems, growing problems, is not rational. That's what they aired. Here's what he really said. The idea that we can continue to spend $1 trillion and have tens of thousands of American forces in Afghanistan, and when we have what's going on around the world, in the Middle East and North Africa and the West, North Africa and Western Africa, they removed that whole section of his answer. This is insane, man. Look at this. And it's no wonder the Daily Wire is publishing this. I can't read through every single thing they removed. They edited out the words so. They edited out the words I got into office, George. Wow. Look at this one. He says, I got into office, George. Less than 2 months after I elected to office, I was sworn in. All of a sudden, I have a May 1st deadline. They removed the part where he says I got into office. They absolutely change everything. Well, Tucker Carlson, he's roasting him. He says Joe Biden interview edited to make him look less incoherent and confused. That's true. Newsweek reports Fox News host Tucker Carlson has suggested, he's right, that ABC News selectively edited a recent interview with Joe Biden in order to make him look better by excluding a portion of his conversation with George Stephanopoulos. Carlson told his primetime audience on Thursday about the recently released ABC News transcript of the Wednesday interview. That transcript featured a section that was not broadcast where Biden discussed his deceased son, Beau Biden. In that exchange, Biden appears to say that his son was in the Navy before correcting himself and saying Beau Biden was in the Army. Carlson described the exchange as not presidential. Look, I'm less concerned about Joe Biden at this point stuttering and stammering in an interview as I am with the media actively manipulating conversations to change the context, to lie to the American people. And why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? I'll tell you why I think so. The media wants war. War is good for ratings. War has always been good for ratings. Conflict and chaos, they love it. That's why they won't shut up about Afghanistan right now. That's why every headline is Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Afghanistan. It's money. It's shock content. It's scary. Makes people scared. Makes them profits. So, in my opinion, their whole attitude is, how do we get back in? How do we get more troops on the ground? Well, this is exactly how. We'll see, though. Will the American people and the younger generation fall for it this time? The media keeps putting out these videos that are shocking. People being executed, beaten, protesters demanding freedom being attacked. And you have to wonder why it was that Joe Biden did the things he did when he was exiting. The Daily Mail reports CIA counterterrorism chief joins long list of military officials saying Biden was warned Afghanistan could capitulate in days after President said he can't recall the warnings and Mark Milley saying no one saw it coming. Many people are speculating, the grand conspiracy, I suppose, that it was on purpose. Joe Biden botched the withdrawal on purpose so that the Taliban would rush in like useful idiots, shock everyone in the media and around the world so that Joe Biden would say, I have to send in troops. I've had people messaging me saying, there are 15,000 Americans in there, Tim. Are you ready for videos of beheadings for the next month? We've got to send those troops in. And I'm like, here it comes. You know, I praise Joe Biden for following through with the withdrawal, but I don't think it will be a withdrawal. I mean, he's already putting in several thousand more troops. They're being deployed. Are we now going to have more troops deployed to Afghanistan? We are. And I'm hearing people say that their buddies in the military have gotten their orders. They're going to be deploying to Afghanistan. We're sending in more troops. You know, here's what I think will happen. We're going to see manufactured consent. What I mean by that is the media will keep showing these things. They'll keep defending Joe Biden, or in some instances. And what will end up happening is the American people will be inundated with these images. The Democratic establishment types and the neocons will then start saying only, the far right opposes saving the Afghani people. They'll say something like the far right agrees with the Taliban and things like that. They'll say that's why they're actually supporting it, and they'll use conjecture and lies and manipulation. They'll put out that news to manufacture the image that the American people would favor a return to Afghanistan. At the very least, Joe Biden will just do it. And I mean, that's what's happening. Daily Mail says, Douglas London said Biden was being misleading at best in his denials. London was the CIA's counterterrorism chief for South and Southwest Asia. He then worked as a volunteer advisor to the Biden campaign. He said Trump and Biden officials were told Afghan collapse could come in days. His scathing assessment comes after Biden said he was never warned of the risk. So why is Biden lying? What image is being crafted by the lies and the media manipulations that we didn't see this coming? We didn't screw up. The Taliban is an unscrupulous, evil organization that must be stopped. And if we don't act now, American citizens will die. That's the narrative, baby. So when I mentioned, I was talking on Timcast IRL that I understand why, in some circumstances, there's an argument for intervention. You don't want to see the Soviets, for instance, in the Cold War, expand to the point where you can never stop them, and then they take you over. Afghanistan isn't that, though. We do have the issue with China's expansion, the Belt and Road Initiative and things like that. But we're not in Afghanistan for that reason. We've been in Afghanistan for 20 years. Why? And they want to stay there because they want nation building, because they want to stay in Germany and South Korea and Okinawa. And it's really funny because there's this one guy, I can't remember his name. He tweeted this out, end the forever wars in Okinawa, Germany, and South Korea. And I guess he was being facetious, all of a sudden now defending the idea that we should be occupying Afghanistan for some reason. And my response is like, that's a good point. Why are we in Germany? Is there something in Germany we need to be protecting? Can Germany not protect itself? Pretty sure Europe is capable of defending itself. And it's about time the United States stopped being the world's military or the world police. But you see where they want to go with it, right? They don't want to give up that power. America to us is very different than what America is to them. America to us is its founding history, its founding fathers. It's the ideals of freedom and liberty in the Constitution. To them, the elites, the Bidens, the establishment, the billionaires. America is a central operation headquarters for militaristic endeavors to whip the world into line. I'm not all about that. I'm a big fan of the founding fathers. But at some point, our political elite, our political class, maybe 100 years ago, whatever, I don't know, World War I maybe, decided America can be the base of operations for militarism and empire around the world for some elite internationalist ideal. And therein lies the biggest problem with all of it. Most Americans just want to do their thing, be left alone. But the powers that be, the establishment elites, they want bases in foreign countries. They want Dave and Buster's around the world. No offense, Dave and Buster's, I'm a big fan, but you know what I mean. They want this suburban McDonald's tourism reality for every country. and it's gross. It's disgusting. I went to the Bahamas. Where was it? Nassau, I think. And I think it was Nassau. Is Nassau in Bahamas? No, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of somewhere else. I don't know. I can't remember. What's the city in the Bahamas? I can't remember. But we went there. It was on a cruise, and I went, getting off the boat, and I'm all excited to see like the local fare. And what do I see inside? Gucci, Hard Rock Cafe, McDonald's, Starbucks, and I was like, I have those a block from my house. What is this? Why am I here? So I left. I was like, I'm going to go to the neighborhoods and find somewhere to eat. That's what I did. You travel around the world, and that's what you get. Hard Rock Cafe, Gucci, Bubba Gump Shrimp, Times Square being reproduced everywhere. It is gross. They are homogenizing culture around the world. That's what's happening with this interventionism. That's their goal in the long run. It makes the world a boring and bland place. They're smoothing out all wrinkles. But sometimes it's that diversity and that cultural experience that makes life worth living, to see new things. Man, could you imagine living in a world with just one store? And it's like, hey, do you guys want to go to the hot tourism spot? There's a Starbucks. Got Starbucks across the street from Starbucks. I think that's what they're trying to do. And I wonder if this, all of what they're doing, the ultimate end goal is going to be a manufactured consent, convincing American people that the American people want war in Afghanistan, which I don't think they do. But here it comes. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all then.